let's take you to Parliament. This afternoon, Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, is threatening members of the Parliamentary Press Corps with sanctions if, in future, they leave the chamber to cover press conferences by members of either side of the House when proceedings are ongoing. He says their accreditation to cover the House could be withdrawn. Parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku Gakpo will join in with details, but earlier, Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu had criticized the media on the floor of Parliament for not staying in the chamber yesterday when NPP members of Parliament debated the State of the Nation address, but rather attended a briefing by Elembele MP Emmanuel Ama Kofi Boa on the energy situation, also on the SONA. Listen.
Was informed later by a deputy whip that indeed a member of Parliament who had opted not to be in the House to participate in the debate had engaged the press outside about the content of the President's speech, for which reason the press had followed that member outside. The Speaker, let it be on record that the media are accredited to come and cover proceedings in the chamber. Any group or caucus that will want to engage the press could do so. But normally, Speaker, as we did when we were the minority, we would engage the press before the sitting of the House. Perhaps something dramatic would have happened in the chamber, which may occasion the press following to inquire whatever might have happened. Other than that, if proceedings are going on in the chamber and you are credited to cover proceedings, you don't leave the chamber at the beck and call of an individual member of Parliament to cover that member of Parliament. Because if the media want to cover proceedings, let it be so registered. I think that they should discharge their responsibilities to the House and not to individuals. Because I want that fairly registered.
That's the Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu earlier with his criticism of the media, the Parliamentary Press Corps, to be specific on how they abandoned, if you like, the House to cover a press conference or press briefing by Elembele MP. Parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku Gakpo joins us with details. He also has on standby some of the Parliamentary Press Corps members for their own reaction to what is happening. Joseph, let me start by asking you what the minority's reaction has been to this particular development.
Well, on the minority side, the leader, Haruna Idrisu, actually backed the majority leader's decision on this and the point that he made. And the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, urged the media to pay attention to the caution that had gone out, except that he placed a caveat on that and said that even in his backing of it, attention again should be paid to how Osei Mensah Bonsu conducted himself when he was minority leader with regards to issues having to do with media briefings, even when sittings are happening right within the chamber.
We understand that this is something that has never happened in Parliament. We'll have you, I understand that you couldn't hear me, Joseph, but I'm saying that you have two of your colleagues who are Parliamentary Press Corps members with you, and we understand that
so I'll go ahead with them.
This has never happened in Parliament. Let's hear them.
Let's get some reactions from some members of the Parliamentary Press Corps. Audu Mahama is the managing editor of the Custodian newspaper. He's joining us. So we heard the directive from the Speaker. Once sitting is happening, you are not allowed to interview or do press conferences right outside the chamber. Yeah. Your reaction?
Well, I was a bit surprised from that directive because I was expecting that his anger would have been directed towards the members of Parliament, because when we come out here to speak to members of Parliament, we don't come here on our own. It is the MPs who normally invite journalists to speak to them on issues of national importance. And therefore, if there is something wrong with that, it is not the journalists themselves who come here. I was thinking that his directive would have gone to the members of Parliament who have been doing this for many years, and that he has control over them, and his directive should have gone to them in the first place.
Do you think this directive expand on the frontiers of freedom of speech and freedom of expression and your work as a journalist here in Parliament, or the contrary is the case?
When I come here to report, to cover proceedings of Parliament do not exclude what happens outside the chamber. When there's a press conference outside the chamber and it is within Parliament House, it is considered to be proceedings, especially when they have consistently told us that when committees are sitting outside the chamber, they are taking part in parliamentary work. And therefore, if a member of the press corps or members of press corps are invited to listen to press conference or at how do you cover press conferences, it is deemed that we are doing covering parliamentary proceedings. And therefore, if he doesn't want us to do that, then this issue should go to both MPP and LEC, the minority and the majority, because they actually invite us to cover their press conferences.
So for you disagree with that directive?
I totally disagree with this directive, especially when he's not directed his anger to the MPs, members of Parliament.
Let's speak to another member of the Parliamentary Press Corps. Samir J is the managing editor of the Front Page Ghana newspaper. How did you take the news as the Speaker relayed it right on the floor of the House earlier today, that no such conversations when sitting is happening in the chamber with members of Parliament?
All right, thank you. It's frontpageghana.com. It's online. Yes, I will also say it's very unfortunate, and this is not the first time we've experienced such in the House. It's been it's been all this all the time. Anytime when proceedings are going on the floor, we are called to come down for press briefing or press conference on so if it comes to us like this, sometimes it's very, very unfortunate, because sometimes too.
Unfortunately, we've lost Joseph Opoku Gakpo with his colleagues there, but we'll certainly go back to Parliament as and when we have them, so you can get their reaction. They don't, well, the person that he's spoken to so far does not agree with the Speaker's position on this matter. You heard Joseph talk about the minority leader's response or reaction to this. Listen.
Within the majority leader to determine who goes what conference where. That is why we are elected representatives. We are entitled to media, not just the parliamentary media. So, dutifully the media, the dutiful to the institution of Parliament, and be reminded by his past antecedents. The media be guided by his past antecedents, sitting here as minority leader. In what you do, whether those antecedents serve this house or serve the purpose as leader of the minority, then posterity is always a better care. But I agree with you that the media must be up and doing. They should cover the proceedings of Parliament. Indeed, its invitation must extend to even the Minister for Information. That is why GDC is doing pretty well to cover as they are doing under their governance channel, and I'm sure they did, to be fair to them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That's the response of the minority leader there. We can hear the Speaker on the specific instruction he has to the press corps.
To make it clear that as much as they will give interviews before or after the plenary and the proceedings inside this honorable house, and which interview or contribution could be for the majority or the minority, any day, it is forbidden, if they have any doubt, to abandon the permission given them to cover proceedings in this honorable house and go outside the chamber itself and do some other work other than coming to cover proceedings in this honorable house. We have a saying in our tree language, if you don't understand,
You had the Speaker of Parliament there saying that it is forbidden to do some other work when you're supposed to be, in his view, covering proceedings on the floor of Parliament. This is The Pulse with me, Gifty Andopia. I'm going to take a very quick break. When I return, head of our political desk and editor here at JoyNews, Evans Mensah, joins me in the studio. We'll talk about this. But let me also know what you think about what the Speaker is saying as far as covering proceedings and covering anything else that's happening when proceedings are ongoing is concerned. Our WhatsApp number is 0540109009. That's 0540109009. What do you think? Let's hear from you. I'll be right back to stay. Hey, welcome back to the show. We're still trying to get back to Joseph Opoku Gakpo, who is talking to two of his colleagues who are members of the Parliamentary Press Corps regarding the directive, so to speak, from the Speaker of Parliament about covering or coverage in the House. I'm here in the studio with Evans Mensah, head of our political desk and also editor here at JoyNews. Evans, it's good to have you. Just quickly, let me take your initial reaction. I mean, as a journalist and someone who has followed proceedings in Parliament over the years, what's your general reaction to this?
I heard the Speaker of Parliament in his ruling, and he was reading. So this is a ruling of the Speaker. You cannot underestimate what this means. It wasn't an off-the-cuff conversation. This was a written ruling of the Speaker, and that carries a lot of weight. Say that as journalists we are forbidding. He used that word. And within the context of us reporting official proceedings within the Chamber of Parliament and what happens outside Parliament. His ruling essentially is that we are forbidding for carrying out our duties outside the Chamber of Parliament when there are official, when there's official business or proceedings within the Chamber of Parliament. Now, I just need to state, and this is purely on the basis of what the Constitution, the supreme law of the land, says about the media. Thankfully, there's a whole chapter of the Constitution about the media and what we do, and that really is where we take the source of our professional conduct from, and all the authority that we have as media people and the fraternity. Chapter 12 is clear that we cannot be under the direction of anybody or institution. You cannot use words like forbid in your dealings with the media, regardless of who you are or which institution you represent. The Constitution says very clearly in Chapter 12, Article 162, that freedom and independence of the media are hereby guaranteed. What that means in essence is simple. We have the freedom to do our work the way we should within the confines of the law, and once we're doing it within the confines of the law, nobody, no institution has the right to dictate to us and forbid us from doing anything. It goes further, in fact, in Clause 2. Subject to this Constitution and any other law not inconsistent with this Constitution, there shall be no censorship in Ghana.
Okay, Evans, I just need to interrupt you briefly because we have on the line ABF Husseini, who is himself a journalist and a member of Parliament for Sagnarugu. He is also a member of the Parliament's Communications Committee. Mr. Husseini, thanks for your time this afternoon. Right. I just have Evans land on the point he was making, and then I'll come to you and take your thoughts on that, if that's okay.
Yes, I couldn't hear him clearly, but having been a practicing journalist myself for the past almost 30 years, I find this a serious infraction on our media freedom. The Constitution of this republic does grant the media, like any other institution of state, the right of freedom of expression, and especially the right not to be interfered with and the right not to be dictated to. Indeed, we all know that our editorial independence allow us to cover different news, things that are of newsworthy to our various media public. And to the extent that the media determines what is newsworthy and what is worth reporting, to be directed to abandon certain events that they consider to be newsworthy, it's in itself an infraction of their constitutional rights. And even though I've not been in Parliament today myself, I believe I lost my uncle. I'm in my constituency family. But I find it unacceptable that the media should be directed as to exactly what they should cover. Yes, I do appreciate that there are people who are correspondents in Parliament and they ought to cover Parliament. But who says that if the minority in Parliament holds a press conference, that is not conflict of
so just a quick point of correction, Mr. Fuseni. The Speaker did not say they should not cover the minority. He says that they should not cover other programs on the side when proceedings are ongoing on the floor of Parliament for either side, so for both majority and the minority as well.
There is a very important development happening outside the chamber, for which the media is present and have to cover. The media should not cover it. Is that what we are suggesting? And I'm just indicating to you that media people knows what constitutes news. So even as when news is breaking and the media thinks that it's newsworthy, it is important for both their media houses and for the good people of this country. They should be free to cover it.
If you were, assuming you were still a journalist and a member of the press corps, what would you do with this new directive?
Come again.
I'm asking for you to put yourself in the shoe of the members of the Parliamentary Press Corps. First of all, they are being threatened that their accreditation will be withdrawn. If you were a member of the press corps, what would you do with this directive?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That is undue pressure. In fact, it's unfair pressure mounted by Mr. Speaker. Because clearly, like I said, yes, they are there to cover proceedings of the House. But proceedings of the House also include even proceedings and press conferences and others undertaken by the minority. And Mr. Speaker is not a speaker for the majority. He's a speaker for the entire House. And so I'm not sure that you should just limit it to the fact that proceedings on the floor of the House must be the events that are solely covered. While the media people are there to cover whatever. But as and when there are important news, breaking news and other things that are of importance to the good people of this country, I believe that they must be given the freedom to pick and choose when they can go and cover certain events. And that by no means is saying that they will cover proceedings on the floor. In most cases, we even find that when they come, sometimes it's about 30 minutes, 1 hour, they do that kind of thing and come back to cover the proceedings on the floor. So I'm sure that this is a threat of no mean repute coming from Mr. Speaker himself. And that amounts to trying to gag the media and dictate to them what they should cover. I think that in the context of our constitution, I believe that this is a constitutional infraction. And I must not, while respectfully, I think that Mr. Speaker has the right to rule on this. I'm not sure that this is one of the areas where he's right. I respectfully differ from the ruling of Mr. Speaker, and I think that ought to be looked at again.
Two quick final questions, Mr. Fuseni, before you go. Your leader, the minority leader, seems to agree with the Speaker's position. I'm not sure if you've heard him say or express that position. Have you?
Come again, say the minority leader.
Your minority leader seems to agree with the Speaker on this.
I'm not in position to ascertain what you are saying, because I think that you may ought to. I hope the minorities that, if anything, we must understand the full context within which he spoke. I'm not sure the minority leader is saying that they should not cover the events of the minority as and when they call them. Is that what he said? I'm not sure.
That's not what he said. That's not what he said. Our correspondent is reporting that he did indicate he went forward to say a few more things, but he seemed to agree with the Speaker's position. That said, though, what do you make of what do you think should happen going forward? Now that the Speaker has said this, he certainly means business by saying that you think this is not in the right direction. What should the press corps, for example, do, or what can even the minority in Parliament do about this development?
That while they are there to cover proceedings of the House, that by no means is the only event they have to cover. And I'm sure that's what the minority does, and that's why I'm saying that it should not be taken out of context. Because it's indicated that, yes, they are there to cover proceedings of the House. And proceedings of the House also includes even press conferences given by the minority.
So my question right now is what to do going forward. Before I let you go, what to do going forward? Is the minority planning or doing anything about this? What should, in your view, the press corps do about this?
I agree with directives and rulings of the Speaker. There are procedures in the House that we will adopt. And I'm sure that the leadership would, in the next few hours to a few days, approach Mr. Speaker on the matter. Okay. But honestly, speaking for myself, maybe speaking as a member of parliament, I think that this ruling doesn't bode well for our media independence and freedom. I believe that yes, media people have the right to look for news, and whenever they are and news breaks out, I'm sure that they may be given the latitude to go back and pick whatever they consider to be news and come back and continue the coverage. I don't see any conflict here. I think that Mr. Speaker should be lenient in such a manner that he can allow the media, while covering the proceedings on the floor of the House, be flexible enough to cover issues that are newsworthy for them, so that at any event, they can come back again and continue the legitimate coverage on the proceedings of the House or on the floor. And I don't think that there's a conflict as such. But to be honest with you, I know that the majority are very, very uncomfortable, especially in the last few days. The minority has not participated on the State of Nation address by His Excellency the President, and are giving press conferences. They are most uncomfortable with the press conference, especially so because the press conferences have taken the shine from President Akufo-Addo. You can no doubt recall that ever since the minority worked out on the State of the Nation address, the limelight has been on the minority, and the majority has been very, very uncomfortable with that development. And so they see this further drift to give coverage to the minority as taking the shine of President Akufo-Addo and the MPP. And I'm sure that is why they are most uncomfortable with, and I can see where this one is coming from.
Mr. Fuseni.
But I think that we have a bounding duty to respect the rights of the media. And these are rights and freedoms enshrined in the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. Right. And I think that neither President Akufo-Addo nor the Right Honorable Speaker have the right to take away those rights. And I think that the media must be allowed to exercise their rights as the fourth estate of the realm, so that together we can build a viable democracy in which all of us will have our fundamental rights and freedoms respected, and this country's democracy can make further strides. I think that's the only way out. If you are trying to gang the media, it is not the way forward.
Mr. Fuseni, thank you very much for your intervention on this matter. ABA Fuseni, there's a member of parliament for Sagnarugu. He's also a journalist himself. He's been an editor, in fact, for many years. Evans, back to you. You were making a point before I had to bring in. I was just
saying, this is really simple. I don't see any controversy here. The media and journalists are not subject to control by anybody, not even the parliament, right?
As long as they work within the Constitution,
you work within the laws of this land, and you're within the rights and limitations imposed on you by the same law that gives you the freedom to work, you're not subject to anybody's control. And in fact, I read earlier that our freedoms are guaranteed by the Constitution, and this is the supreme law of the land. The most important clause for me, really, under Chapter 12, Clause 4 says, editors and publishers of newspapers and other institutions of the mass media shall not be subject to control or interference by government. Now, we all know that Parliament is an arm of government. So it is government. So when you hear the Speaker of Parliament, who is a leader of the arm of government, use words like the media, journalists are forbidding, I humbly submit that that is an attempt, or in fact is, attempting to control and interfering in our work. How so? Because journalists, only journalists, and journalists only, have the right to exercise editorial discretion on where we cover our stories, how we cover our stories, and how we circulate our stories. The directive or the imposition of the will of the Speaker, as in what we should do once we enter into Parliament, and in essence, the Speaker is saying, once you enter into Parliament to cover official proceedings, you have to stay there until official proceedings are done before you do anything else.
But that's not even what happens on a daily basis.
It's dictating to us, and I submit, according to the Constitution, interfering and trying to control what we do. And the Constitution says you can simply not do that. I mean, as a journalist, one of the things that really offends me, and then this is not about the Speaker, is when somebody attempts to dictate to me how to do my job, regardless of who the person is. Because it's simply wrong. It's also unconstitutional, right, to dictate to me how to do my job. Certainly when I get it wrong, and you can point to me where in the law I have, one, the Constitution provides room for redress. That redress doesn't include sitting in Parliament and giving directives about what I should do and banning me or forbidding me from doing X or not doing Y. And I think it is seriously a rollback of the great successes we've chalked over the last few decades in moving this democracy forward. That's not for any reason why they say we are the fourth estate. Our job is to hold Parliament and all other officials elected accountable to the people.
Right.
What that means is that in doing that, we will report from the chamber, but if we, in our own editorial discretion, believe that there's something else happening outside the chamber of Parliament, which in our estimation, our audiences are entitled to know. And remember that very important phrase.
Right?
It's in the public interest to know. The only people with the power and authority to make that determination, what is in the public interest to know, are journalists. Sometimes we get it wrong in making that analysis and determination. But we are allowed to make mistakes. And when we do, and it borders on violations of the law, you are allowed to take us on in the court of competent jurisdiction. You get what I'm saying? So clearly, the Speaker was unhappy with the way we're doing our work, as in he believes that we are leaving the chamber to do other things. The way to do that is not to give an order. It is to consult. There is a parliamentary press corps. You bring them into a room, have a discussion. But even then, it is up to us to make the determination whether we will tell our reporters to stay in the house.
I'll come to you, Evan, so you wrap up with the position. But we do also have on the phone lines Dean of the Parliamentary Press Corps, Nana Agyeman-Tinkrang. But the number you see on your screen, you do know that's our WhatsApp line. Some of you are already sending in your thoughts. I'm interested to hear what you think, and some of you have sent that. I'll read that out. But let me quickly engage Dean of the Parliamentary Press Corps, Nana Agyeman-Tinkrang. Nana, thank you for your time this afternoon. Hello, Nana. Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. So let me tell you what people are saying. This one says, what do they have to debate for? I'm disappointed in the leadership of the majority. If he assisted in bringing in the president, who should he lead? Why should he lead his colleagues out? I don't really understand. He says, is it permissible to do that? If no, then they're wrong. But if it is permissible, why not? I don't know if you're referring to the Speaker or if you're referring to something else. Okay, I do have the Dean on. Let me just quickly finish these messages. This one says, good afternoon. I disagree with the Speaker that journalists should not grant interviews to parliamentarians when sessions are ongoing. Is the Speaker trying to tell us that all transpired in the chamber is what the journalists put out for us? It is long overdue for Parliament to have its own TV station, not the one currently used only in Parliament. Jacob from Georgia sent that one. Dean of the Parliamentary Press Corps joins us on the line. Hello, Nana Agyeman-Tinkrang. Thanks for your time.
Hello.
Yes, Nana, your reaction to this, what the Speaker said today in Parliament.
Please, who do you want to speak to?
All right. It looks like we've got a little mix-up there, but that's okay. I'll read some of the messages, and then I'll take Evans's final words on this, and then we go away. This one says, okay, what the Speaker is trying to do is to restrict press freedom. This is from Jalal in Tamale. I'll take the rest of your messages, Evans. So going forward, what do we say?
No, let's just make this point again, and just to drive this point home. The work we do is for the people. Parliament, that's same. The President, that's same. Judiciary, that's same. In everything we do, you must have the people at the heart of that conversation. Anything we do, if we take the people, the audience we serve out of that equation, then we've lost it. We actually violating the Constitution. The reason why that point is important is, in determining what is important and what is news, your primary focus is, does it serve the interest of the people you're serving? So if you are in the chamber of Parliament, right, and you're covering what is happening in the chamber, of course, what happens in the chamber of Parliament, within the main precinct of Parliament, is important because the people there are representatives of the people we are also serving. But when something else is happening outside the chamber of Parliament, which is equally in the interest of the people, you as a journalist are absolutely obliged to also give the particular event coverage, be it a minority press conference, be it people come there to protest. You have to give if you can, the same attention to all these stories. But what is it that our position is on this matter? For us here, we will be professional and we will strictly enforce the injunctions placed on us by the Constitution to do our job without interference and control, which also means that our editorial discretion will be our prerogative and our prerogative only. Right. Where we cover our stories, be it in Parliament, be it in the chamber or outside the chamber, it's only up to us here at Multimedia to decide. Unfortunately, it's not up to the Speaker. It's not up to anybody else to make that determination. And we'll be very professional in editorial discretion. If that editorial discretion means staying in the chamber and covering official proceedings, so be it. Right. If that professional editorial discretion means going out of the chamber and covering events that are happening and unfolding outside the Chamber of Parliament, so be it. And so we reserve that prerogative and will exercise it as we deem fit, as guaranteed by the 1992 Constitution. All right, Evans. Well, before I let you go, this person is asking why the court is not open, you know, for cameras and but journalists are represented in court. So as far as reporting on what's happening in court is concerned, there's always a journalist. Journalists are allowed to be in there and they report. Evans, thank you very much for that update. Evans Mensah is head of our political desk, also editor here at JoyNews. Let me go on the line. I'd like to finish with the Dean of the Parliamentary Press Corps, who we have about now on the line. Hello, Nana.
Yeah, Gifty, how are you?
I'm good. I trust you're well as well. I just want to find out your reaction to what the Speaker said today.
We've just come out from a meeting with the Honorable Speaker, myself and the Director of Public Affairs, and then some officials from the Public Affairs Department. Okay. He made us understand that it wasn't as if there's a strict directive from him that they want to gag the media here in Parliament on how they do their work. But he cautioned us to be very careful, and then while the House is sitting, we need to give priority to the work going on the floor of the House, because that is where all the representatives are. So we should give priority to the work of the floor of the House before granting other interviews to other individual individual MPs. So that's what happened.
That's what the Speaker, that's the sort of explanation, if you like, or further explanation that the Speaker is adding to what he said. But if you listen to what he said, and I did hear bits of that, he said it is forbidden to do any other work rather than what's happening on the floor or in the chamber when it is happening.
Yes, but I was in the chamber when he made the ruling. I also listened to him very carefully. But in our conversation or in our meeting with him, such posture or such words didn't come out. It was a way of cautioning us not to abandon the work in the chamber and then put priority in interviewing other individuals whilst good important programs like debating on the State of the Nation address is ongoing. So that's exactly what happened.
And I've just been talking to Evans. I've had a lot of people texting in as well who were saying that the discretion of coverage really lies with editors, lies with journalists doing their jobs. It is not in anybody's power to direct journalists as to how to do their jobs. I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on that as well.
Hello, Gipsy, I didn't hear you properly from
I'm saying that it is the discretion as to what to cover at what time. It's an editorial discretion that is led to editors, that's left to journalists. Yes. You do not get the sense that when the Speaker said people should give priority to so and so, that he's taking off that discretion from reporters, from editors, which is not right.
Yes, but Speaker, you and I know that sometimes when you are even here in Parliament covering, your editor can call you that get this news from me from this and get this thing. That can be done. He's not gagging us not to do that. That can be done. What he really cautioned us was that moving the whole camera and everybody getting out of the gallery. Everybody getting out of the gallery for the whole place to be empty. For them to come and see all of us here at the interview coroner. That's what he was trying to avoid or trying to caution us that we shouldn't let that happen again. But for the practice here in Parliament or what we, the journalists over here do, is that sometimes when we have multiples of programs going on, like there's a chamber sitting, there's committee sitting, we try to even divide ourselves into 2 or 3 so that some can go here, some can go here. And then in the end, when we finish, we can just cross-check or exchange stories so that our media houses can all get all the kind of stories that happen in Parliament. But that was not happening yesterday. Yesterday, I can tell you clearly that whilst we were doing the chamber, most of our members or everybody was out down here trying to get some interviews from other one or 2 MPs from the minority side. And that was what he cautioned us that we shouldn't let it repeat again.
Well, Nana, thank you. But that's exactly the point that people are making, that it is not up to the Speaker to caution journalists as to what, in terms of discretion, as long as they're not breaking the law, to caution them as to how to practice their journalism. But thank you very much for your thoughts. You said you just came out from the meeting with them. I'm sure that the Parliamentary Press Corps has taken a decision on what to do going forward. Nana Ajimai Tinkwan is the Dean of the Parliamentary Press Corps. Some of you have been sending your comments. Let me do that quickly before I go on this break. This is coming from Kumasi. The person sending is Andy. Andy says, where are we getting to? I don't want to believe that the president wants to be autocratic, as the opposition has been saying. Why is the Dean of the Press Corps trying to defend this unconstitutional statement from the Speaker? Okay, Nana, Andy sent the message from Kumasi. This one says, Doomso has started across Accra. Well, that's your thoughts. You said the Speaker threat to the media is authoritarian. Enoch sends that from Tesano. He's also saying that Honorable Buye Fuseni must learn to speak calmly. Why the hasty lamentation? This one says the NPP government has successfully spoiled our education sector. Okay, you're talking about the bill. Okay, you think that this is not a good way to go. And this one says what the Speaker has done is an affront to our democracy, and those bootlicking journalists who side with politicians should be warned. This is just a tip of the iceberg of what they have in stock for you. This is from Osu. Hi, it's time we disallow politicians to sit on our right. I sincerely think the Honorable Speaker erred in his decision. You didn't add your name, but thank you for sending in your messages, and thank you all of you who sent your messages in. If I read it, if I wasn't able to read it, apologies, but do stay with us here. I'll be right back.